Hi, everyone. Welcome to our AIM Parenting Midweek live stream. We are so happy to be back together and be back on air live again. It's been a bit since we've been here last, so we're excited to be back with you. Today, I have with me our parenting consultants, so our AIM parenting consultants, Lucy and Amanda. And if you're not familiar with them yet, you should absolutely go to YouTube and check out our previous live streams because they have a ton of free, wonderful information there for you that you can check out. They also have a podcast on Spotify that you can check out as well. But today we're going to talk about their upcoming cohort that's starting in a class that they've just finished a cohort of, and it's called Empowered Parenting. And so we wanted to take a moment to get together and sort of talk about what this class entails and why parenting courses are valuable for all kinds of folks, all kinds of parents, parents of newborns, parents of adolescents, parents who think everything's perfect, parents who are struggling. Everybody has something to learn and gain from continuing their parenting practice and learning more about how to interact with their kids in a positive, productive manner. So, Lucy, Amanda, hi, it's good to see you guys.
Yay, it's
Great
so
to
good
be
to
back,
see you
Carolyn.
again.
How are you both?
Yeah, really excited to be here actually. And as you said, we've just had the end of our 6-week empowered parenting course, and we've had some lovely testimonials coming in from some of the parents that were on the course, which is really rewarding. And just to see sort of where they were before the course started, and then what they've learned and gained since doing the course. And actually it's amazing, you think 6 weeks is not that long, but it's amazing actually when you're putting the tools into practice on a weekly basis, how much can actually shift for a family dynamic and for the parents themselves. So it's really exciting.
That's great. So, Lucy, how are you doing? You're in France today. You're joining us
Yes.
in France.
Yeah, so I'm in Nice, so it's the south of France, and it's way busier than I expected it to be honest. Like the sea's right there, but like it's just there's so much going on, and I'm just no longer used to it. But it's been amazing. Yeah, it's been amazing here, and it's really sunny, so it's lovely.
Right. All right, well, let's dig in. I'm going to ask you some questions about how the course went because I didn't take the course. So I'm
Yeah.
coming at it from a perspective where I need to learn about what y'all are doing and how it's beneficial to the parents that you served already and the parents that you plan to serve. So I'm going to ask a few questions and y'all can tell me about how it went and why this course is going to be beneficial for all kinds of parents moving forward. So
Cool. Mm.
first of all, parenting is overwhelming, right? Like we know that it can feel that way at times. What are some of the biggest struggles that the parents that took the course said they had before taking the course? Like, why did they join and what were they trying to overcome?
So I would say that it's mostly like the everyday bits in life, and especially because when we say parenting, we're always talking about adults who care for children. So it doesn't necessarily mean parents, but it can be educators, it can be caregivers as well. Or even like that lovely neighbor who looks after, like the neighbor's children, maybe like once or twice a week. So I would say that we as adults, we have the tendency to do too much, and especially doing too much for the children. So most of them, they come to us feeling overwhelmed because think it's they think that parenting should be chaotic in a way. So they kind of like come from the perspective that, well, if you have children in your life, it's going to be chaotic. And we kind of like debunk this, and we show them that no, there's so many things, there's so many strategies that we can use to bring a bit more peace, bring a bit more calm, to again, like to your everyday life. So it's all about everyday living. It's all about how we can build these life skills, how we can nurture all of these characteristics for life. So obviously, like parenting is so many times it's just about putting out those fires that happen every day, and we forget to think, wait a second, like everything that we're doing today has has a long-term effect, right? And it's lovely for us to see that by doing a little bit less and delegating that to children as well, we get to focus a lot more on the long-term benefits.
And it can be chaotic. And I remember,
Yeah.
right now I'm on the verge, like my son will be a teenager tomorrow, and I have an 11-year-old.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I remember those days when they were young, and there's a saying in the US, and I don't know if they have it in England or in Brazil, but it's that the days are long, but the years are short.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
So true.
anything that we can do to make our daily lives more calm and peaceful and enjoyable, right, is going to make those years also more enjoyable. So like this small investment of time, this 6-week investment can have such a great reward moving forward. So
Absolutely. One of the first activities we do with parents is we do 2 lists, and the first list is where they are today. So we create a list of, as Lucy said, it's the everyday challenges. Parents don't tend to have one particular big struggle. It just tends to be those everyday challenges, like not listening, how to navigate screen time, which obviously can become a big challenge, in the teenage years, picky eating, hitting, defiance, and all of these things, they tend to build up. And I think that's what kind of causes that sort of overwhelm. And I think what's really lovely about this activity is the first thing parents say is, oh my gosh, I feel less alone. Because I think we all feel that we're having our own sort of private, I always say this, freak show in our own houses. And that there's no one else actually going through what we're going through. And I think that's something that the course really, really benefits parents by actually giving them a safe space where they can just feel that this is just normal. This is normal. And, we're not given a manual. We're not given a parenting manual. You're handed your baby, and it's like, this persuasive idea that mother's instinct somehow is supposed to give us everything we need, and I think that's why sometimes parents possibly feel that, taking a course is in some way thinking that they're failing in some way, when in fact it's the complete opposite. With every other career or, we have professional development, we have upskilling, we have courses to do, and yet the one job in the world that's the most important, we're raising the next generation, you're just expected to know. And I think that's why this course is so empowering, and that's why we've called it the Empowered Parent, because neuroscience is teaching us so much now about the brain, and that's a big piece of the course. We really go into how to work with your child's brain, not against it. And I think that's something that parents come away from. And once you actually know that, you're not dealing with a mini adult, a child has a very different brain to an adult in lots of ways, you then can actually kind of look at these challenges with more compassion.
And more grace, right? You can give them more grace.
And give yourself more grace as well.
Yes. So, okay. So the course, right, is live on Zoom. So you get Lucy and Amanda at your, disposal, but you also get other parents. So how does the course different, like this experience of parent professional development, differ from just like reading a book or reading an article or searching Pinterest for like tips on parenting? How will the course be different for someone who's trying to engage with this content?
I think, one of the most powerful things that Positive Discipline offers is we do experiential learning activities. So the parent is invited to actually step into the shoes of a child. So they actually learn to embody what a child is actually feeling, thinking, and deciding to do based on a parenting approach. And then we offer offer them the same experience using a positive discipline tool, so they can really see the difference in how they felt or they feel as a child. And I think that's the most powerful way to learn, because it's so hard, isn't it, to get into somebody else's head. But actually, by putting yourself into the shoes of a child through these exercises, it then makes the shift into using the tools so much easier. Wouldn't you agree, Lucy?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's definitely like these aha moments that make positive discipline so powerful, because there's no way you cannot understand what a child is going through when you are being that child yourself. So I think that that is the most transformational part of the course, and that is only something that can be lived. You can't read it from a book. You can't learn it from watching a reel on social media. You can't find it anywhere else. You must experience it. And obviously, like, this is something that was so transformational for both of us, right, Amanda, when we were taking our positive discipline courses, that we just, because we felt it, we could look back and rethink the way that we acted as well, the way that we saw things happening, because so many times we do things out of love, right? And I think that this is the normal way of doing things when we're working or when we're caring for children. Everything that we do comes from a place of love. But that's not necessarily how children are going to perceive it. And that is the key part of this course. It's not what we're trying to send. It's not the message that we're trying to send, but it's how that child is receiving it, how they are perceiving it. And that just changes everything.
Yeah, it's the kind of
We always say that.
Oh, go ahead, Amanda.
I was just going to say that, Rudolf Dreikurs, who was the protege of Alfred Adler, this is all based, so positive discipline and empowered parenting is all based on Adlerian psychology. And he always said that children are amazing perceivers, but poor interpreters. So to give you an example, a mum comes home back from the hospital with a new baby, and the 4-year-old, who's been used to being, the only child, is perceiving that in a very different way than the mother is actually kind of, experiencing that with the 4-year-old. So, and this child may start acting out, and rather than looking at it sort of as misbehavior, we see the behavior as just the tip of the iceberg, and it's always looking at what's underneath the behavior, what belief is driving that behavior. And I think that's something that parents, it's a unique skill to positive discipline. We have something called the mistaken goal chart, and it's a way of decoding any misbehavior that your child might be actually going through. So we always say that a misbehaving child is a discouraged child, and we want to find ways of actually encouraging that child. So when a child feels better, they'll do better. And that's a really sort of important. And she's gone. She's back.
You got a little glitchy there for a minute, but we heard.
Yeah.
Would you like to add anything to that? Okay.
So I think that's really interesting.
Lucy, would you like to add anything?
I'm good, thank you. I think we're ready for the next question.
And I think it's interesting to think about this as like the foundation of communication, right? So even if you have an infant, right? So is it too early to take the class for the early? No, it's never too early, because when you have an infant, you don't have anything going on, but like you may be able to build those foundations of communication for moving forward. So it's a powerful tool for you as a parent to build your empathy and understanding of the child that's growing along with you, right? Because we know that we never stop growing and learning. So we're growing and learning as parents while our children are growing and learning as human beings. And that's important to understand. It's a process, right? Nobody has all the answers. No one's perfect. So
yeah, and that's actually something really interesting that we discuss in our course as well, how it's not only completely fine for us not to be perfect, but it's also such a powerful thing for us to teach children about just, like being vulnerable and being okay with making mistakes and learning from them. Because imagine if we are the perfect parent, children are going to look up and they are going to think, okay, so how can I be perfect myself? Because I can already see I'm not it. So it's a lot of pressure that we put on these children by being perfect ourselves. So by making mistakes and acknowledging them and recognizing them and repairing them, I think this is one of the most powerful tools that we can share with our cohorts, with the participants who can then, like just put it into practice. Because let's face it, mistakes are going to happen.
Yeah, and the facade of
Yeah.
perfection is not a healthy thing for anyone. I don't think
No.
too much pressure for anyone.
Oh God. Yeah.
So, okay, so you just finished your first cohort, and what do you have any like success stories?
Exactly. And I think
I think there must be something wrong with the connection.
I think you're a little bit behind us, possibly,
Yeah.
which is totally
right,
fine.
okay.
So,
Shall I go out
go
of
ahead.
the studio and come in again?
Sure, give that a try. And while you're gone, Lucy, and I'll keep chatting. So,
Yes.
all right, Lucy. So, do you have any success stories from this last cohort, like parents that completed the course and have like given you feedback, or that you've
Shall
seen
I leave
growth
the studio and come in again?
the course of that?
Yes, Amanda. I think it would be good because it seems like you're really far behind with the connection. Yeah. Yeah, she'll come back. Right. So yes, definitely. So it's interesting because there was this one person who joined our first cohort, and she's a mom of two girls. One of them is 5.5, the other one is 3.5, and she's also been a teacher for over 20 years, an early years teacher. So we actually used to work at the same school many years ago. And she actually found out that we were doing this course through AIM Parenting. So she just recognized me doing the Jane Nelson's live stream, which was amazing. So yeah, so like this person, I mean, like she is absolutely lovely, and she is just so eager to learn. And coming from her perspective, if you think about it, I mean, like she's been a teacher for 20 plus years. She's a mom of two girls for, like it's been a few years already, right? Like, and still, like she was just so eager to learn. And it's not like she was coming with huge problems, but it was like those everyday ones that we've already discussed. And the way that she left, the way that she finished that 6-week course, she was extremely grateful, and she sent me numerous messages saying, like how that taking that 6-week course has changed dramatically her dynamics at home. And it's because now she has like a true understanding of how her children are perceiving things, and how she can actually, how her attitude can be shifted, because through empathy you can actually see things from a different perspective. So it's been amazing because she came from such a humble place. She just wanted to learn, and she really was eager to learn. She wasn't afraid to share with us the, like her daily struggles. And again, it's like it's daily struggles that everyone has. It's about sibling rivalry, it's about bickering, it's about, like not sharing. It's all of these things that we see day in, day out. And because parents who join our cohorts, they usually already come like from such a growth mindset. They come so open-minded, open-hearted. There's no way for them to get it wrong, because they are such an integral part of the whole process. So it's not just us. We're not just going to dump things on them, right? That's not the idea. The idea is to actually involve them and to really bring them close to us, for them to feel safe enough to share their struggles, and for them to actually, like, practice the things, because that's the beauty of like doing this course throughout like 6 weeks. It's because we give them time, and we give them like some weekly practices for them to be able to experience. So nothing is rushed. And she like this parent, she was in this course, she was present, and she was there, and we were checking in, and she was really invested. And I think that makes such a huge difference, because one thing is for you to have your knowledge and just keep it in your pockets and think that, like, life is going to change just because now you have the knowledge. The other thing is for you to have the knowledge and go like, okay, so now how can I put it into practice? And that's exactly what she did. And that's why it was so successful for her, and her whole family is thriving now, like even more than they were, because like, I mean, she comes from such a loving family. She's got amazing girls, a loving husband. And again, it's what you said earlier, Carolyn. It's about improving yourself, and it's about just knowing that we can always be a little bit better because we're learning things that we didn't know before.
Yeah, and I think it's important to know that Lucy and Amanda are never going to judge you,
Mm,
right? Like, it's going to be a
yeah.
open forum for you to express your difficulties and the struggles that you're having, but no one is ever going to make you feel any sort of shame or discomfort for those struggles, because they are so universal, and there are ways to alleviate them. So
Yeah,
And
100%.
let's face it,
Especially because like we've been through it as well, right? So we know what it's like.
We've had all the same struggles ourselves, in various different capacities. So we're absolutely not there to judge. We're just there to guide. And I always say as well that, each parent is the expert on their own child. We're learning as much from them as they are from us. And I think that's a really important part of the course. And another thing I was going to say, that I think, what is it about a course that makes it so much more beneficial, is you're kept accountable. Because I think it's so easy, isn't it, to kind of read a book and think, oh, that sounds amazing, and I'm going to try that. But do you actually put those tips or hacks into practice and get that kind of, real-time feedback? And I think that's what's really, another real benefit to doing a course like the Empowered Parenting one.
Yeah.
And I think what we've all been saying over the course of this last, 20 minutes or so has been supporting this idea. But how can we reframe the way we see parenting so that folks are not hesitant to join a course and to say, yes, I want to improve at this. I am imperfect. Like, what are some ways that, and we've already talked about some, but what are some other ways we can reframe that idea of parents asking for help and parents seeking support through a course like this?
I would say that more than seeking support or asking for help, I would say that it's seeking knowledge. It's seeking information and things that, like it would take them sometimes years to gather all that knowledge, and to be able to actually put it into practice. They would have that from us like in 6 weeks. So obviously, like, like what we learned, we didn't learn overnight. And because we know how powerful everything that we've learned, how powerful and transformational it is, we really want other parents to learn as well. And one other thing that I feel so strongly about, it's like, forget about the word parent, forget about parenting. We're talking about human beings. So it's human beings looking after other human beings, right? So anything that we can do to support them and to empower them with lots of knowledge, with lots of information, with lots of, like these experiential activities that really will make them feel like that child they're caring for. There's nothing more powerful. So it's all about information and giving them the best kind of information possible, and that is being backed up by neuroscience and research. So it's not just my opinion, Amanda's opinion, like where are we getting this from? But it's actually everything is based on research and science. So it's like we're just the messengers, really.
I started laughing. You said that it would take them years to amass this research and this knowledge. And no one has that time. Like I said, the
No, exactly. Like people
by the time
don't
you
even
go,
have.
it's like your child can be in their next stage of development, and you're gonna.
It's like you missed it. Yeah. And the thing is, like, we get it. Like people, they don't have time to read one single book, let alone several books on this subject, right? So if you can have like an hour and a half per week for 6 weeks to get at least, like the main information and the main activities covered. And then, like should we do the spoiler already, Amanda? Because obviously, like, like when you finish the 6 weeks, again, you're not alone. We still continue together. So we do have monthly group mentoring sessions, again, live via Zoom. And that is the time for us to continue developing, like all of these skills, and for us to add even more tools to their toolbox, because, like just positive discipline alone there's 52 tools that we can learn and we can practice. Obviously, like throughout 6 weeks, if we gave them all of these 52 tools and gave them like a week for them to practice like a few of them, that would feel so overwhelming. So obviously, like we gather like the main tools and the main activities. But again, it's like the learning process just goes on as it should, because I mean, like we should always continue learning and growing. So yeah.
I think it's maybe the right time to say as well that we are, for anyone that might be interested but isn't sure and doesn't feel that they're at the point right now that they want to commit to the course, we are offering 2 taster sessions on the 3rd of April and the 12th of April. And these are basically empower hours. Come along, you'll get a sense of what an experiential activity feels like. You'll get much more of a sense of what positive discipline is and isn't. And it's just a great way for you to actually experience a class, really, without actually making that commitment. So I don't know, Carolyn, if you can put the links into the chat, but that would be really helpful.
They're in there now.
Brilliant.
Hopefully.
And I think that's important to note too. Like you can try this out. I think $9.99. You can go to this session and try it out to make sure that you want to commit to the full session, the full 6-week course, and it's a great way to do that. And Lucy and Amanda, I love the mentoring sessions, and it like sparked something in my mind, because on my reels that I've been like, scrolling through, I've seen a lot of like French parenting hacks and like different hacks from different places. And when we think about like having this monthly mentoring and having this course that is global, you're going to interact with parents who are living in Dubai. Lucy's from Brazil, living in the UK. Amanda's from the UK. You've got United States. So like you're getting this global perspective on parenting and all of this exchange of ideas on how to parent, cultural norms that we can benefit from, right? We can benefit from the knowledge and the cultures of others. And I think that's a beautiful thing too.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
In our last cohort, we had, I think we were in 4 different continents.
Yeah, it's shocking.
That's just that, we had
they were like 12 hours apart from each other.
We had Diana, who some of you may remember. She did a live with us. She was our first guest on our live stream, and it was 9:00 at night for her in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, and she had such a great experience, and I didn't actually have a chance to share her experience, but she came from a psychology background, and what she said was that she said that a lot of what she experienced, really kind of backed up her values, but having the tools, having actually the practical application of how to actually almost put those values into practice really, really helped her. And yeah, she's actually considering becoming a parent educator herself, or doing the early childhood educator. So, you know, I think that speaks for itself, really. She you know, thoroughly, you know, found it an enriching experience. So that was lovely to have her as part of the cohort.
That's interesting what you said about theory versus practice, right? Because we can read a lot of theories and we can read a lot of parenting advice, but what Positive Discipline and what this particular course will enable you to do is put those theories into practice with manageable tools, right? And that's a huge difference, because we can read and read and read, but if we don't know what to do with that information, it's just like existing in our mind and not being enacted in our life. And so that's really valuable.
And not only that, Carolyn, but I think that knowing, like having the information and not knowing how to put it into practice, it is such a daunting experience, because you know there's something that you should be doing differently, but you don't really know how to put it into practice. So it's like, oh my God, it just makes it even worse, doesn't it?
That
So
parent guilt or that caretaker guilt.
yeah,
Like, I should be doing this, but I'm not.
yeah, yeah.
And
So it's like, yeah, and it's not about guilt. It's not about, you know, like judgment or anything. And I think that I really do feel so sad for when I hear that parents, they have so much guilt. I mean, like, everyone is just doing their best. They're trying their best with the tools they have at the moment. Just like, you know, like I was trying my best with the tools I had at the moment when I was teaching, and I you know, like Amanda was doing the same. But the thing is, like, once you start seeing that there's so much that you can do, and that costs very little for you to actually put them into practice, you know, so sometimes it's just like it's a slight um, shift in your perspective. Sometimes it's just, you know, it's just turning like a command into a question. It can be very simple. It doesn't, it's not about revamping your house. It's not about, you know, like turning into a completely different person from what you are right now. It's just about fine tuning and tweaking the small things that, you know, that bring the best results.
You know, and in lots of ways it does start with us. You know,
Yeah.
we want to kind of fix our child, but actually a lot of the time, you know, and it is about self-awareness, we are actually somehow kind of contributing to a dance that we're not aware of course, because we have those blind spots. And that's empowering in itself, because, you know, we know that you can't control anyone else. The only person you can control is yourself and how you respond and react. So by actually kind of having tools that allow you to kind of gain that awareness, I think is really, really empowering, because once you know what you're doing, and you can actually kind of put those boundaries down, and knowing why you're being triggered and how to actually you know, become that kind of calm presence for your child, you know, it really can be a game changer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just feel like, just from speaking with you guys and like moderating your live streams, I've learned a lot about interacting with adults too. And
Yeah.
like, you know, how I respond is important. So it's been a very enlightening experience just being around you two. So I'm sure this course is so powerful for those who are actually enrolled in and taking it and meeting with you weekly. So
that's a good point. I think there's a lot of sort of similarities between, you know, kind of being a leader in your home and being a leader in the workplace. And, you know, as Lucy says, it's really just about relationships, you know, and, you know, you can use these tools in the workplace, you can use them with your spouse, you can use them with your colleagues, you can use them with your parenting partner. You know, they're really, it's really about that connection piece. And I think, you know, when you have that connection piece and that relationship intact, that's where your influence is. You know, that's where it, you know, that's where you have the most bang for your buck. So we talk a lot about, you know, connection before correction, and actually, you know, allowing the child to feel heard, but still putting those boundaries down so that they feel safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so we talked about a lot of the reasons people might enroll because they do feel a little overwhelmed, or they are feeling like they want some guidance, they want more knowledge. But what would you say to parents who don't feel like they're encountering any challenges currently? Would you still recommend that they join the course?
100%. Yeah, I would say that, like information is power. So I'm sure, just like how it happened to us, there is so much that we can learn. And sometimes, like we're just not aware of it.
Mhm.
And again, like that works in so many areas in our life. Sometimes, like if we only take like eating habits, there's so much that we learn on a daily basis almost, isn't there? Like, like sometimes things about a certain mood.
Uh-oh, I lost Lucy's sound for a second.
Yes, so there is so sorry. Oh God, did I?
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I was saying, is everything okay?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
first.
cool. Okay. So I think it's all about just learning more about something you like, something you have a deep interest in, and what's not to like about children and about like those human beings you love the most. So again, it's not like it's again it's about empowering. It's about giving a lot more information and more tools, because sometimes like we come with a toolbox, we think it's kind of working, and then like we show up and we say like, hey, have you tried this tool? Like it might be a bit more effective, and it might like maybe you're not going to spend so much energy like achieving the same goal, or maybe the goal is going to be even better than the one you were expecting it to be. So yeah, there's so much that we can do, even for those who think that now it's like, because so many parents, they say, well, like I already come from such a loving home, it's such a loving family, so why should I join you? um Again, it's not, we are not here to like to say that like that these families are not giving children enough love. As I said before, everything that we do comes from a place of love, right? But it's about how are our own actions going to result in long-term benefits for that child? How is that child going to grow through the things that you're doing today, through your own attitudes? And it's not about guilt, but it's about empowering people and knowing that we have so much to give, and that we have so much power in our hands and our actions.
I
So
think also it's just to add in here, when I was talking to you, Carolyn, about the to list activity, and the first list was the challenges that we're looking at now, but another exercise we do is like a future vision exercise, where we ask each of the participants to actually imagine their child that comes to visit them at 25 years old, when their prefrontal cortex is fully developed. And what is it that they want for their child? What are the life skills? What are the goals? What's their vision? What traits do they want their child to have? And wherever we are, whichever continent we're these universal, wonderful characteristics come out on this list. And then it's like, well, how are you actually teaching those skills? And one of the biggest shifts that we kind of debunk is this idea that discipline is punishment, when in fact actually it's teaching. And so often these opportunities, the challenges, can be used as opportunities to teach these life skills. And I think that's really empowering. So for those that perhaps don't feel they've got any challenges, perhaps it's more about, well, actually, especially with AI evolving as it is, it's like, I'd love my child to be a problem solver, to collaborate, to be a team player, to cooperate, to
be resilient. Yeah.
So I think it can come from that, from wanting those traits for your child as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting because again, like coming from a place of love, we don't want our children to suffer or to go through any trouble. So we end up rescuing them and doing so much for them. Although we want them to be amazing problem solvers and to be resilient, it's like, but what opportunities are we actually giving them for them to practice problem solving if we're always rescuing them from, like the smallest problems? So yeah, it's about embracing challenges instead of avoiding them and seeing them as something bad. So it's more about, hey, how can these challenges and how can I embrace these challenges in a way that is going to help me and my children grow?
I love it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to register for the full class. And there's 2 time sessions you can choose from. We have the times because we are, global, and we have the time
Yeah.
UK time and also then in Central Standard Time, since it's just kind of like we went with the middle of the US.
Yes.
But we do have a link where you can check your time zone because, of course, it can get complicated, as we know, right? Like with daylight savings time and things like that. This has been the bane of my existence 2 days now. I've had things that I'm like, wait, that's not correct. So we have that there for you to check. And we're, trying to accommodate the best we can to have good times for everyone. So we offered 2 different time frames for you to look into. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comments on any of the social media channels, and Lucy or Amanda or I will answer them. And you can check out our website and check out the parenting course, what we offer. We also have an online course you can take too, which is, going to be a little bit different in nature and is much shorter. But I think the Empowered Parent class is going to be the one that is going to be a real game changer for people. So anything else you guys want to close with before we end for today?
I would just like to say, like just come to the course. Don't be afraid of being judged. Don't be, don't think that you are being inadequate because you're taking a course. Again, like if this was a profession and you were a professional parent, you wouldn't hesitate. So please don't hesitate because it is such a powerful journey. And again, like we learned so much together as a group. So yeah, just make sure to share with family, friends, and like that WhatsApp group from your school. Just share with them and let them know that there's people here who are trying so hard to make positive changes in the world, and that's why we're doing this. So yeah.
Yeah, and just to say, if you're, to reiterate that if you're not quite ready to sign up for the course, come to one of our tasters, and it really is just a way of giving you an insight into what we do, and hopefully, you'll get a lot from it. Each taster session, you'll come away with actually 2 actionable tools that you'll be able to put into practice the very next day. So you'll be able to see the implications of those as well. So it's a real value-packed hour. So hopefully see you there.
Well, thank you, ladies, and enjoy the rest of your days, afternoons, where you are.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carolyn. Lovely to see you again.
Yes, you too. And thanks everyone for joining us. Please, if you have questions, don't hesitate and go to those links and check it out. And we hope to see you in the course.
Lovely. Bye, everyone.